Options Trading Authorities, Billions, How to Make Your First Billion in Options, a Study in Systematic Compounding, Home Study Course. This is the introduction. I'm here to introduce to you the concept of you making $1 billion in your first billion. Now, before you start getting into thinking about the possibilities and before you start self-evaluating yourself to think and see if you're a good enough person or if you're smart enough or if you're lucky enough, let's just throw all of that out and look at the concept logically. Now, how could we obtain our first 100,000 from options, our first million from options, and then our first $1 billion from options, unless we have a plan? Now, in the past, some people accidentally made their first million from the market, but often those individuals didn't hold on to that money very long, although maybe some did. Now, you have other people who painstakingly learned many lessons over the years and then finally admitted that they need to follow a system of systematic cerebral execution towards a goal, or at least towards a path of high probability trading from the markets. Now, there are plenty of examples of those people from a variety of books that you can find on wherever, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, etc., maybe online, just floating about. For example, Nicholas Darvis, how he made $2 million in the stock market, is a good example. Then you have the Market Wizards books. Then you have a fellow named Dan Zanger. Okay, he's a great story. He's the Guinness World Book record holder. And the story pretty much is the same. It's a story of human maturity and learning, whereas we humans go through a process of learning not only cerebrally but emotionally as well. We have to not only learn cerebrally and emotionally through study and watching others and learning from others, but also from experience. It's the experiential learning that really gets that learning down pat and gets you to make deep down decisions on what you are going to believe. All right, what are you going to believe about the markets? What are you going to believe about yourself? What are you going to believe in terms of what works and what's going to work for you? There are hundreds, maybe thousands of ways to trade the markets and make money. Yes, there are many, many ways. I know. I developed many of those ways. The thing is, you need to find your way or set of ways that you identify as ways that are you or that you are simply going to pursue in terms of how you trade the markets. Now, you can trade several ways and just keep them organized and separate into, for example, different trading companies when you get to that point. And then as you keep these ways separate, you can simply keep organized in keeping to the execution of the either strategy rules or rather system rules. Regardless, you have to work this out. You need to study systems. Well, first of all, you need to have the systems, whether you buy those. I mean, of course, we sell lots of systems under this Authority brand and other brands. You can make your own, okay, if you have that knowledge and experience. Maybe you have like a family system. You know, maybe someone in your family has been successful in the markets and you just do the same system. And now these systems or strategies have to be the type that stand the test of time and aren't based on some gimmick. A gimmick is based on some sort of loophole concept that's just trending at the time, but then soon goes away. And the funny thing is, people out there in the investing trading world who also like to purchase information products and educational products, they seem to really like the trendy stuff, right? So they're even buying the wrong educational stuff. What you want to do if you want to obtain a goal such as your first billion, could be your first million, could be your first 10,000. I mean, hey, got to start somewhere. And what you need to do in order to not only make the money, but more importantly, keep the money and then grow that money you're keeping, is you need a very organized, mathematical, and logical approach that can put you in that position for simply, logically, mathematically, and systematically doing repetitive deals that can net out profits. Doing repetitive deals that net out profits means what? Or what is it similar to in comparison? Well, similar to a business, a store, right? You can think of like a grocery store, a Walmart. For an example, you need to have inventory, okay, which are your various trades. You need to have good profit margins, and that's your revenue minus your costs. You need to have a marketplace demand. All right. Now, you have the marketplace, and you have these deals based on price action on price charts. If you're not familiar with price charts, then, well, there are many factors on the price chart in coordination with entry and exit mechanisms that have repeatable, dependable tendencies that happen over and over to a certain degree of follow through and a certain degree of repeatability and a certain degree of percentage of happening. What we want to do is have our trading position math and execution consistency there in order to take advantage of any of these edges that are repeatable. And we do so over and over. And we turn trading into a business where others go wrong in this concept is they take, even if they do take a system, they take it and then they start picking and choosing. Sorry, you have to do all the deals. Picking and choosing is like a grocery store, stopping people at the front door, trying to guess which customers will buy a lot versus which will not buy much. Now, now and then you may guess correctly, forgetting about the whole lawsuit side of that, but you may guess correctly, but then again, you may not. You may think that, okay, I'm just going to let only people come in who wear suits and ties, all right, because, they seem like they have money. And then this person, these suits and ties people, they may be just coming in to buy a sandwich and a drink. You may have guessed wrong because of some other assumption. Whereas some other person, okay, that maybe is not so dressed up, but they've come in for their casual grocery shopping, comes in and buys $400 in groceries to feed the family. In a similar sort of way, we can't guess which trade's going to actually follow through the most. I mean, we can. Sometimes we'll get lucky. Sometimes we'll totally miss some of the biggest moves out there. So therefore, we want to put ourselves in front of these particular price action setups on a repeated basis. So therefore, we have developed many systems. But in order to obtain such a concept as your first billion, what an individual has to do logically speaking, whether that's from options, whether that's even from stocks, okay, whether that's from futures, is that an individual will first need to actually set the goal of their first billion. Okay, you have to actually have the specific goal, because then if you don't have that specific goal, how are you going to reverse engineer the exact strategy, or at least a strategy, in order to develop the plans and the plans of action in order to at least put you on the path towards that goal? So then, if you need $1 billion, then what do you need to obtain that? And what type of systems can get you there? And then what type of starting money can get you there? How small can you start, and how long will it take to obtain this first billion in terms of systems, or I should say average systems results that are then compounded upon themselves? Then you have, of course, the concept of taxes and the rest. But unless you set the goal, you're not going to be able to think in terms of all of these other very neat things and interesting things that you need to do in order to obtain such a result. And by aiming for such a goal, you're going to find new ways of doing things that you may not have thought of before. You're going to start expanding your mind. You're going to start looking into other more helpful things. You're going to start to think about other concepts that could support you obtaining such a goal. Maybe it could be technology. Maybe it could be the help of others. Maybe it could be looking into others who have done something similar. Maybe this will compel you to start studying Warren Buffett, maybe. Or maybe you'll start just learning about all sorts of traders who've had success in the past that you wouldn't have pursued, or you wouldn't have pursued the study of, unless you had this excellent, very large goal. And arguably, most importantly, by having a goal such as your first billion, this is going to get you the perspective of the severe importance of compounding over time. That means sticking to a plan. Actually, speaking of Warren Buffett, he's great to study because he's had that mindset. And I remember back many years ago how he would stay in his same home, which was supposed to have been this small rundown home or something like that. And he would drive his same old station wagon because he didn't want to waste money into something, because he knew the value of compounding over time. And that if he put this money into these frivolous things which he didn't really need, then he would lose out on potential millions and millions of dollars just from that money not being compounded. Now, that's perspective. Warren must have had the goal of billions on his mind in order to have this forward-looking thinking. So, this is a course discusses various topics related to what we would need to do theoretically in order to obtain our first $1 billion. So it's a logical brainstorm. We're going to take my knowledge and experience, and then we're going to take knowledge and experience from other traders, successful traders over time, and we're going to piece together some concepts so you and we can get into the mindset of actually, or at least putting ourselves in position for such an excellent sized goal. And as the saying goes, you shoot for the stars, you're more likely to hit the moon. And as I already explained, by having a specific, very large goal as such, we're going to find so many resources and strategies and ways of doing things that we would not have found before. That's it with this video. Check the link below for more information.